Have you ever really, truly looked at the words you use every day? I mean, they seem so simple, right? Just solid blocks of letters. But what if I told you they have a secret architecture, a hidden blueprint for how they're all put together? Well, let's crack them open and see what's inside.
So that's really the big question we're asking today. Are words just single things, or are they more like tiny, complex machines built from even smaller, meaningful parts?
You're going to want to stick around because in the next few minutes, we are going to pull back the curtain and decode that hidden blueprint. We're about to see the elegant system that's hiding in plain sight.
Okay, let's start with a word we all know, unhappiness. It's a single feeling, a single concept. Seems like one solid block, doesn't it? But is it?
Nope. Turns out it's actually an assembly of 3 distinct parts. You've got the core idea, happy. Then you tack on UN at the beginning, which totally flips the meaning. And then you add NS to the end, which turns that feeling into a concept, a state of being. 3 parts, each with a very specific job to do.
So these little building blocks, these meaningful parts, well, they actually have a name. And they are the absolute key to understanding this whole secret architecture. They're called morphemes. And here's the most important thing to get. A morpheme is the smallest piece of a language that still has meaning. Think about the S in cats. That little letter is a morpheme because it means more than one. Or re in replay. That's a morpheme too. It means do it again. They're like the Lego bricks of language.
Now, these morphemes come in 2 main flavors. You've got your free morphemes. These are the independent ones, the words that can stand all by themselves. And then you have the bound morphemes. You can think of them as kind of clingy. They have to be attached to another word to make any sense.
So let's make that crystal clear. Words like book or run are free morphemes. They're whole words. But things like the plural s or the past tense ed or that prefix un, they're all bound. They have meaning, for sure, but they can't show up to the party alone. They need another word to latch onto.
And what's really cool is how we can categorize these pieces by their job. You've got prefixes like un that come at the very beginning of a word. You've got suffixes like ness that go at the end. And right in the middle, you have the root, like struct in the word structure. That's the core, the heart of the word's meaning.
Okay, so we have our building blocks. We know what they are. But how do we actually use them? Well, it turns out there are 2 main ways we do it. One way just kind of tweaks a word's grammar, while the other creates a brand new word entirely. This is the difference between inflection and derivation. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a puzzle. What's the real difference between walks and teacher? In both cases, we're just adding a little something to the end of a word, right? Walk plus s, teach plus But what's happening is fundamentally different. So, what is it? And here's the big reveal. Adding s to make walks is what we call inflection. It just adds a bit of grammar. It tells you who is walking. The word is still a verb. The core meaning is the same. But adding to teach, that's derivation. It literally creates a new word, teacher, changing it from an action, a verb, into a person, a noun. This table really nails the difference. Inflection is just a little grammatical tweak. It doesn't change the word's basic meaning or its type. Derivation, though, that's the heavy lifter. It often changes the word's class and creates a whole new entry in the dictionary. It's really the engine that drives vocabulary growth. And speaking of growth, language is never static. It's like a living, breathing workshop that is constantly forging new words. So, let's step inside and check out a few of the coolest tools on the workbench. First up, we've got a classic, compounding. This is probably the most straightforward method we have. You just take 2 whole words and smush them together to make a new one. Just like this, you take book, you take store, and bam, you've got bookstore. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's everywhere. Just think about words like sunglasses or firefly. Next up is blending. Now this is kind of like making a word smoothie. You don't just stick 2 words next to each other. You actually chop them up and merge the pieces into one new, delicious word. And the most famous example, of course, is brunch, from combining breakfast and lunch. Or how about smog, from smoke and fog? It's super efficient and, let's be honest, it creates some really catchy words. All right, now for a really clever, almost magical one, conversion. This is where a word changes its job, say from a noun to a verb, without adding a single thing. That's why it's also called zero derivation. Just think about the word email. It started its life as a noun. You've got an email. But it didn't take long before we started using it as a verb.
just email me the file. The word itself didn't change at all, but its entire role did. We do this all the time, especially with new technology.
And then, of course, there's clipping. We humans love a good shortcut, and clipping is just our tendency to chop down longer words to make them easier to say.
I mean, who has time to say refrigerator when you can just say fridge? Same for advertisement becoming ad, or influenza becoming flu. It's language at its most practical.
Okay, so we've looked at the building blocks. We've seen the tools in the workshop. We've explored the whole architectural plan. But let's get to the big question. Why does any of this actually matter to you? Well, understanding this blueprint is basically like having a language superpower. It means you can look at a huge, intimidating word you've never seen before and break it down into familiar parts to guess its meaning. It helps you learn faster, understand what you're reading better, and honestly, it just gives you this deep appreciation for how incredibly creative language is. And that brings us to one final thought. Language is never, ever finished. It is constantly changing and adapting to our world. As our technology and our society keep evolving, we're going to need new words to describe our new reality. So the question is, what words will we build next? The workshop is always open.